Hey everyone, welcome to Awkward Ascent. I'm your host, Christy Pritchard. Join us in our conversations around consciousness, connection, spiritual growing pains, and psychedelic therapy. Today on the show, I have a biohacker, a nutritionist, and fellow podcast host of Biohacking with Brittany Ford on the show. Welcome.
Amazing. Thank you so much for having me.
Of course. Thank you so much for being here. So we were just getting caught up and figuring out how we met each other. And it was some mystery person on Instagram. So if somebody's out there who knows us both on Instagram, who slid us both into each other's DMs, please let us know.
Yeah, that's so funny. I didn't even realize you were that close to me.
Yeah, I didn't either.
Well, I mean, just like biohackers in Vancouver in general is just really exciting.
Are there a lot? I'm not technically one myself. Like I've always done things like I saw you used an LED light thing. I do that all the time. Yeah. I do cold water on my face in the morning. Like there are things that I've always done. And now that I follow you on Instagram and checking out to see what you do, I'm like, oh, I do that. I guess technically I'm kind of an accidental biohacker.
Yeah.
It totally hasn't been on purpose. So for the audience, do you want to just get into what biohacking is and how you got into it?
Yeah, absolutely. So you definitely sound like a biohacker. I think anybody who does anything that is trying to improve their health or reach optimal health is essentially a biohacker. It's just like a new way of framing it, I would say.
A new phrase, I guess. Like
a new phrase.
Yeah.
I think for a while it was like you're a health guru or a health nut or like somebody who's just like obsessed with wellness. And now we're kind of seeing like biohacking taking over, which is really cool.
Interesting.
But yeah, the way that I define biohacking is holistic self-care for optimal health. Cool. And so basically what that means is that instead of only looking at one area of our health, whether it's like fitness or nutrition, we kind of look at everything that makes you, you. Yeah. And then how can we level that up so that you can be healthier and kind of reach this level of optimal health, but also sustain it. And it's definitely not perfect health because like no one really has perfect health. Yeah. But it's just like, how can we level up from where you are right now?
Totally. Take what you're working with and just make it better. And so you mentioned fitness, nutrition, and spirituality, I think is in there too. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Amazing. So it's the full package.
Yeah. And like sleep, stress management, supplements, relationships, like everything, right?
Amazing.
Because
everything's relationships are in there too.
Yeah. And like environment as well. Yeah. I think everything kind of impacts everything else. And, you know, the mind, body, and spirit are so connected. Yeah. And for us to try and like alleviate, you know, one symptom or one health issue that we're having, going at it from a perspective of like, let me just take this supplement to fix this one thing compared to, okay, what is actually causing this? What's going on in my life? Like, let's attack this from all angles and let's heal holistically, like tends to do much better.
Absolutely. Like, especially when you go to the root of the cause. I know in Chinese medicine, this exists. I know just from my own experience of dealing with, if I've had back pain, like a lot of the time, that's because I'm stressed about money. And then as soon as I kind of get into a groove with money, my back pain goes away. And there's no like, way to really, you know, to like say, oh, it's just a coincidence anymore. Like when stuff like that happens often and we look at the root of our stress or the root cause, you know, it's like, it's pretty interesting how our emotional, mental, and spiritual body have so much to do with our physical body. And tying those in together, I think is so important.
That's really cool. I'm so curious about that. Just like certain stressors, you kind of feel the pain differently in the body.
Yeah, I have a Chinese medicine friend, Adrienne Coombs. I'll give her a shout out. She's in Squamish if anyone's in the neighborhood. But anyways, she's a Chinese medicine doctor. And when I mentioned my back pain, she's like, I know you haven't been working in a while. I'm like, yeah. and true enough, I was like, holy damn. And you look into stuff like that and it's so true. So I know, to flip back to you, you had issues with your gut and your menstrual cycle, if you don't mind touching on that.
Yeah, that's how I got into it. So I started having really weird symptoms when I was a teenager. And this was before gut health was as popular as it is now. Like no one even really was using those words. And I remember just having these symptoms and being like, okay, like what is actually going on here? My hair was falling out and it was getting like shorter and shorter. And then I wasn't able to focus well in school and just like some other things. So I kind of went down this rabbit hole of like, why am I feeling like this at 16? Like I should not feel like
that. At 16 too.
At 16. Like 16 is like there's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with you.
I mean, I treated my body like trash. So like,
exactly.
were you
Exactly.
like, have a reasonable diet at 16?
And it was okay. Like, it was okay, we'll say.
Yeah.
You know, there were vegetables, but there was also like a lot of processed milk, a lot of processed cheese.
I was just going to say Kraft singles.
Yeah. Yeah.
Kraft singles mean.
Yeah. At like 16 was when I started drinking alcohol as well. And so all of these different things. And I started seeing a naturopath. I kind of went down this road of healing naturally. It ended up that I had a lot of gut health issues. And then I started working on that through diet and supplements.
What were some of the major diet and supplement switches that you had, changes that you made?
Yeah. So I first started getting curious about the paleo diet, which is a very nutrient dense diet, but it is very difficult to follow, I would say 100% of the time.
Paleo, like for scavengers and stuff, like essentially nuts. Is that the right one?
Kind of.
Meat.
It's basically like, how did the cavemen, cavewoman eat back in the day, you know? So a lot of fruit, vegetables, nuts, and meat, essentially. So no processed food, no dairy, no sugar, no flours, no grains, really, that type of thing. So it was really good and it worked for a while, but eventually it just kind of like had its limitations because it kind of, it didn't start restrictive eating for myself, but it made me almost too obsessed with what I was eating. So I had to kind of figure out how to have a healthy relationship with food and still eat healthy.
Yes. Yeah.
And that has been a struggle for a long time for me. And I know a lot of people who are nutritionists or are in this space really struggle with that. But back to your question, like one of the supplements that I love for gut health and what I used was aloe vera juice.
Yeah. Did it have a lot of sugar in it though?
No.
Okay.
So it's not sweet at all. I mean, the one that you buy should not be sweet. Like if you're using it to heal, this is not like a aloe vera juice box that you're like popping on a day. Like, no. This is like you buy it at a supplement store and you have a shot of it every morning and it's clear and it's just aloe vera and like distilled water.
Okay. And so can you eat it right off the plant? Or do you have to buy it processed in some way? Like
you can make your own juice, but you have to like take off the skin. You have to like, there's like a process to it because it can be a laxative. So you have to be careful.
Huh.
Yeah.
You don't want too much of that.
Yeah, exactly.
Too much of a good thing. No. But interesting. Okay, that's good to know. Because I swear my mom used to feed us a little bit of aloe vera as kids. And somebody was like, that's so bitter. How could you? And I tried eating a tiny bit of aloe vera plant. I'm like, hot damn, they were right. How did we eat this? So she probably prepared it in some way. Okay, that makes a lot more sense. Thank you for answering that sidebar question. And so aloe vera helped. What else was part of your regimen that really made some differences?
Yeah, so definitely that, typical probiotics, getting tested just in general, like looking at my vitamin, mineral, and hormone levels to really understand what was going on. And that's always what I recommend to people now is like, it's so helpful to start doing these healthy habits and, start supplementing with aloe vera juice. But if you don't actually know what's going on and if you don't know where you stand, like you're kind of just shooting in the dark.
Exactly. Did you get tested for like allergies and stuff then?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I did like allergies. I did food sensitivities. Oh my gosh, I did so many. I did like environmental allergies as well. I just kind of like started looking at it holistically because when you have these symptoms, you're like, I really have no idea what this is.
Yeah.
And
it is shooting in the dark until you start narrowing it down.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. So I did a bunch of tests. I did a live blood cell analysis test, which was super helpful.
Interesting.
And that I found out I had like candida, parasites, leaky gut syndrome.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And you can just go to your GP and can you say, hey, I'm having some symptoms. What do you suggest I get tested?
Yeah. So you have to go to a specialist who does it.
Okay.
But like you can type in on your search, your city and live blood cell analysis and like someone should come up. But it is private for sure.
It's like a specialty kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've always wondered just with so much traveling and stuff. And that's where you usually pick up the parasites and you're never quite sure. And some of them can be minor. Very cool to know.
Yeah. So it's interesting that you say that about the parasites because my boyfriend at the time, I got him tested as well. and we had the same parasite, but his were older than mine. And our person who tested us said that it's likely that I picked it up from him and he played like a ton of sports.
Yeah.
So she was like, he probably got it from the locker room and from like dirty like hockey gear. So
that's so interesting. So they can tell the age of a parasite in your stomach. Oh,
yeah. Yeah. Cause like they can see, I guess, like how old the cells look and also like how many babies there are of the parasites. And it's kind of gross. But
but it's good to, I'd rather it be gross and know than like it be gross existing in my body. And I don't know. So how long did it take you to get rid of the parasite? And what was the key ingredient in the parasites?
Yeah. So I took an antimicrobial supplement for a while, like probably 6 months or so. And then got retested multiple times because like you never know when it's fully flushed out. But the whole healing journey in general from that initial standpoint was probably like 2 years for me to start seeing a naturopath. Like think about like the first time you started doing anything that was like remotely healing naturally to like where you are now.
Even exercising to see the physical. Yeah.
Exactly. Like you're like, I have no idea about anything in this world. And that was in like, I don't even know, 2010. I was 16, I think. And so this was before like Instagram and like the wellness movement, right? Like I couldn't just go on Instagram and type in like hashtag leaky gut and like just have all of these creators and be like, oh,
so much information. But then there's information overload, at the same time. Like I had that today with trying to find a new podcast host and I was like, holy crap, there's like 150 options. Like how, so I don't know, is that a positive thing that there's so much information out there or do you find it contradicts with one another?
Yeah. I mean, of course it contradicts. Yeah. Like always people who will take the science and twist it or take parts of the science and be like, this proves this point, right?
Yeah.
So it's hard at the end of the day. You really just have to make the best decisions for yourself, but also be very educated. Like look at whatever you're looking at from both angles or all angles so that you can be like, okay, this is the best decision for me. I've looked at doing the other things, but I still think this is better.
And it resonates possibly. And research you're reading from too, because anyone can post anything on the internet. So back to a question, how long it took you? A couple of years, you said. And so your hair was starting to grow back and like your gut issue.
Our booty issues.
But all that stuff, it took a couple of years. And then did you stick with something or did you start like kind of playing around to see?
Yeah. So it really just ignited a passion for healing naturally and nutrition. And through healing myself and, getting my hair to grow back and like being able to concentrate better in school and like seeing my symptoms improve, I just started educating myself. Like I started reading all these books. I was just doing things on the side. I started like working out, going to the gym. There were no podcasts really at that time. And then it kind of just like grew. It grew. I, finished university, went into the corporate world. And when I moved to Vancouver, it was like, put it on steroids.
Yeah.
Vancouver is so healthy.
Yeah, it is for the most part. It certainly is. BC, all of BC. And I don't want to pump BC up because it's quite full here. So, but BC does have we have a bit of a housing crisis on our hands. Nobody move here just because you're in the health industry. But there is like a vibe here that definitely is a bit more outdoorsy than some places.
Yes, very outdoorsy. Like a different way of living compared to Ontario and Toronto.
Yeah, I wonder why, what it is. Like, is it just like the fact that there was a few people here? We can create that anywhere. There's so many beautiful places in Ontario. I look at the lake and it looks like an ocean. It's stunning. And you can buy a whole island and like affordably buy an entire island in Ontario. And there's just so many cool elements to these beautiful places. I'll be on Instagram and see other parts of the country. And I'm like, holy crap, where is that? And it's not BC. Like this isn't the end all be all and anyone can grow their garden. So I'm just wondering, like, I'm I'm wondering with the housing crisis that we're having here, and a lot of these people are moving out east. I'm wondering if that'll start changing the rest of the country because they can't afford a home here. Maybe they'll go somewhere else and start, and then their neighbors will be like, "Oh, what's Sally doing?" And then, and they'll start growing their own garden and participating more in the whole. I guess it's more of a movement almost, like where it's just a lifestyle change. So I wonder if I guess time will tell if that'll have a trickle down effect.
I would love to see that. That would be really, really inspiring.
We need to all be in one place. Like the world is magnificent and beautiful and vast. We can do this anywhere. So that would be really inspiring. And I just have that thought right now, sending it out into the ether.
Yes.
Absolutely. Awesome. And so out of all of the treatments that you do and all the things that you've done, what has been the most impactful, like the quickest turnaround? Like you change something in your diet and you're like, boom, and you feel awesome.
I mean, that's a great question.
Oh, sorry, we don't pre-do questions on the show. It's all
no, it's good. It's good.
Yeah.
I'm fine with that. I think the biggest impact, I think there's a lot of things that I've tried. There's a lot of products I've tried, supplements, hacks, whatever you want to call them. I think hydration plays a big part that I've seen a lot of difference in.
Yeah.
And I think it's like a 2% decrease in hydration, like shrinks your brain or whatever. Like it's something so minimal.
Crazy that you're saying this right now. Okay, I have to interject because I follow this doctor on YouTube. I'm going to low-key look him up right now. I just started following him not that long ago, and he was talking about doing intermittent fasting with water too. What is that about? Is that like a new thing? I'm just going to go to my history watched videos.
Like not having water?
Yeah. And like I have 6 million followers. I'm like 6 million people are hearing to not drink water and to go through phases of the day without water. I drink like 2 glass containers like that at least. And so like, I don't understand.
Wow.
I'll see if I can look. Does that sound like resonant to you in the slightest? Or
I mean, that's
crazy.
Like, I think there's obviously different ways to fast, but I would be surprised if someone would recommend somebody not have any water at all.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought so too. His name's Dr. Eric Berg. So if anyone has any info on him, please write in or please comment if you're watching this on YouTube or DM me because I'm so curious. And your thoughts. What are your thoughts on that?
I don't love that. I would love to like see what his point of view is. And if it's like, do this every once in a while because there's some sort of like detoxing longevity benefit from it, like autophagy benefit. Like that's where I feel like he may be leaning with that. But there's no way that I would recommend that to somebody every single day or like from a standpoint of intermittent fasting. Like it would be like a once a month thing, I'm assuming.
So I actually paid attention for a minute, but I will watch it again. So no one take this as not medical advice. Don't start intermittent fasting water. But okay. So you had a few things on your list, and how long did it take for those to really start taking effect?
Yeah. So the hydration has always been something I've been trying to improve just because of like sleep, stress, mental ability to like get through the day, focus. Like whenever I have even the slightest headache, I'm probably dehydrated.
Yep. Ditto. Or cramps. Cramps is another one.
Cramps. Yeah. Anything like that. And it impacts like so much of us, like so many different aspects of us. And I've really just been looking into the healthiest water we can drink as well.
Yeah, I have balsamized water. I'm a water snob. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a big water snob.
That's like another thing that I find that there's so much information out there. Like people will drink reverse osmosis, alkaline water, mineralized water, charged water, like all of these different things. And I'm like, okay, like I just want the cleanest water, best water possible.
Yeah, totally. Just pure water, like spring water. I don't know. I guess
right. Exactly.
It's a water bar, actually. I remember seeing on a show that I watched. But there was like a tasting with like different kinds, what the mineral water would taste like and all the different things. And me being such a water snob, I was like, I would totally go there.
Yes. Yeah.
And try and see if you can taste the tap water. I'm like, that would be a no-brainer.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. But I have like a filter on my showers.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
But I'm actually looking at getting a filter for my tap as well, like on the sink in our bathrooms.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Yeah, just because I like wash my face with that water.
Right.
and I wash my hands all the time with that water. And like, I just don't trust that there's not fluoride in it, chloride, like all sorts of things in it that are just like getting absorbed through my hands. Like,
true. I mean, my face is, if we're washing your face with crappy chemicals.
I mean, like in a perfect world, you would have your own house and you would filter the entire
thing right from the get-go. Yeah. That's where I wouldn't want to skimp on things. It's like, hydration is key.
Yeah. And I mean, like, it's definitely expensive to get your house done, like thousands and thousands. Yeah. But like, what does that mean for your health long term? What does that mean for the health of your family? Yeah. Like everybody who is being exposed to that water.
So true. So moving along, I know you said you had hair issues. I also have had my own bouts with hair loss and hair struggles. How long did it take for your hair to come back?
Yeah, it definitely got better a few years after I kind of realized that there was gut health issues. But at that same time, I was also on birth control. And so it was better. But then when I came off of birth control was when I really noticed a difference.
Right. And it tricks your body into thinking that you're pregnant.
Yes. And also it's just so disruptive to your hormonal balance.
Yeah.
And so I was just very shocked of like when I came off of birth control to see, 6 months, a year later, whatever it was, for my hair to be like so much thicker and so much longer. Like I remember wearing hair extensions in university and then coming off of birth control and then, having time go by and then my hair was the same length as my extensions were.
Amazing.
And I like no longer wear them, obviously. So it's just interesting that, there's so many things that can impact even just your hair, which is just one symptom that you can go through,
And that's a big one too. Like in that, I know for mine personally, it was emotional stress, I think more so than anything, which is also another factor, but that also will inhibit your physical body as well. But if you're having hair loss issues or even like bowel issues, like getting those things checked is so important. I think a lot of people just write it off and kind of shove it aside and keep going. Same with my back pain. Yeah, I'm guilty too. And like you kind of just shove it off and go about your day. But it's really imperative to take a closer look and get to the root of the issue. So that's awesome. And since then, you've created a whole life for yourself around biohacking because you have your business and your podcast. What do you do as a nutritionist?
Yeah. So for a while, I was seeing clients one-on-one and just kind of helping a lot of women, a lot of men too, with gut health issues, kind of depended. And it was really interesting. It was interesting to see where people are and how much information that they have, because like when you become a practitioner of some sort, you kind of don't realize how much you know until you have a client and you're like, oh, like you don't even know what probiotics are. Like we're just starting from the top. Like, okay, I actually do know a lot about health and do know a lot about nutrition. So it was really interesting. And I mean, then we went through the pandemic and that was a whole issue itself.
Notice the stress barometer rise with clients with that.
Yeah, I think there was especially in the beginning, there was a lot of overindulgence in food.
Yeah.
And alcohol. A lot of people started drinking every night.
Yeah.
And it was very much like, oh, I'm just going to have a glass of wine tonight. But that was the same mentality every single day.
Yep. COVIDaholics. It was a thing. I was one. I know. Exactly. Yeah. It was not, it was super tough for that. And especially because you just kind of feel confined and the level of collective stress. Like, I know I can definitely feel collective stress and it was just one way to kind of numb it out a little bit. So,
that's what I found was like, even for myself, and even still that I still struggle with is like feeling like you need to escape.
Yeah.
Because your life is so stressful.
Yeah.
And some people escape in substances.
Yeah.
But there's other ways to escape that are also harmful as well. Like I watched so much Netflix. Netflix during the pandemic. Like the most TV I've watched in my entire life.
In like one pandemic.
in one pandemic. It's just like
wild. I not to laugh at you, but it's just funny. It's true. And a lot of people experience like everyone had their vice and a lot of I watched a shit ton.
Just so much. And I look back and I'm like, even now, like coming out of it, I'm like trying to break that habit of like after work, sit down, watch TV for hours.
Yeah. What do you do now to supplement and to break that habit?
Oh, it's really hard. It's really hard. And I kind of had to come to this realization of there's obviously some sort of imbalance that I'm feeling internally. If I feel that need and like compulsive need to escape into TV every single night.
Yeah.
Like, what does that say about my life that I feel like I need to escape from?
Yeah.
And that was a very difficult
And
realization.
it's definite escape for you, not just habit forming. Because sometimes sometimes I think that there's just like, yes, there's obviously a numbing out that comes with Netflix and stuff. But I think when you get to a certain stage, it just kind of becomes like, you're just so used to it. And when you're so used to something, doing anything else just seems strange and like exhausting.
Exactly.
I don't
Exactly. No, and I think that's what it was. I think like during the pandemic, it was like that escape.
Yeah.
And now it's a habit for sure.
Right. Yeah.
For sure. And so how do you break a habit and what do you replace it with? And yeah, it's hard.
What did you replace it with?
I'm still working on it for sure. But walks at night with my dog help, reading helps. I go to bed early as well. So just kind of like limit the opportunity in general.
Right.
But it's different for everybody. And it's also different if it is something like alcohol. That's a completely different discussion,
Yes, absolutely. And that's something that I think I see so many conversations coming around now. Everyone's being vulnerable about their experience and everyone's going through all of that and coming out on the other side. And I think those conversations are really helping people kind of be like, oh, hot damn. Yeah, that was an issue for me. And having support around I've seen people I didn't know anyone who got like carried away and was like, had to get run off to NA or AA or anything. And I'm sure people did though. But in my personal circle, it was just kind of like, oh crap, and got to snap out of it. But I'm sure there was cases of where it just was a slippery slope. But now I guess we have a better understanding of how maybe to cope and a better understanding of community via online. And it was just such a shock, I think, to go from one mode of being outside and interacting to having screens and interacting via screens. And now I think we've kind of hit that adjustment period and sailed through it. And I think now if we have to go through anything in the future, we'll be a little bit better equipped to not dive straight into the negative habits. I hope.
Yes.
Fingers crossed. We got this.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. I love that perspective. Yeah.
Amazing. Was there more that you wanted to share about your experience? And is there any points that we missed?
Yeah. I think if anybody wants to explore biohacking, like I feel like people listening to this are probably biohacking in some way already.
Yeah.
Whether it's like kind of some of the things that you said, or just like bringing in a healthy habit every single day that makes them feel good mentally, physically, whatever it is, like that's kind of where you start. And I really just encourage people to start small and kind of commit to that habit every single day.
Yes.
Like the best results come from the consistency.
Yes.
Like whether it's like physically, like working out, or if it's like longevity and preventing serious health issues coming down the line, the consistent choice to make healthy choices every single day is what matters.
Definitely. And so I know hydration was one of yours. What would be number 2 for you then? A small one that somebody could start implementing in their life like today to make longer term changes.
Yeah. I always encourage people to look at their sleep. I think sleep is just so underrated and for so many different reasons. And I'm so neurotic about my sleep. I'm always trying to improve it.
Yeah.
And, we sleep a third of our lives.
Yeah.
Like we can't just be on TikTok on our phones till 1 a.m. and then get up at 6 a.m. and go to work.
No.
Like, and then reach for that donut at 9 a.m. and be like, why am I experiencing an energy crash this early?
Yeah.
But it's
coffee and then it's sugar laced
exactly
sustenance, and then it's a slippery slope because once you're that tired, and if you drank up the alcohol the night before, then you need the coffee and then you want the like sugary treat.
Totally.
What do you do to improve your sleep?
Totally. I'll talk about what I've started recently. I set an alarm on my phone to go off at 9 p.m. And this is for when I am watching Netflix, or it doesn't matter. Honestly,
bedtime reminder.
What I'm doing, but it's a bedtime reminder. And I'm not on my phone at that point anyway, but it'll just go off somewhere, wherever it is in the apartment.
Yeah.
And I'll switch off the TV or I'll stop doing whatever I'm doing and like start winding down.
Yes.
And ever since I started doing that, my sleep has been even better. Because before I'd be like, oh, it's 9:05, it's 9:15, it's 9:30. Okay, I guess I'll start now.
Yeah.
But now I have this like clear marker of like, it's time to wind down, go brush your teeth, get into bed, read for half an hour, do whatever. But it's time to wind down. And so that has been very, very helpful.
I have that as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
I also have face masks, earplugs. I take half of a melatonin, so it's like 0.25. But melatonin also helps with a myriad of other things. And as you age, we can lose melatonin in our bodies. So I take a tiny amount. But yeah, I've got my things because I'm a huge sleeper. I think I sleep 8 hours a day. And I've tried to do less because I'd like to be more proactive. But hey, test it out. Whatever your body needs, give that to your body. I need 8, like 8.5. Sometimes on the weekends, 9.
Yeah. I'm just so irritated when I don't get my sleep.
Yeah.
I don't know how moms, like mothers or fathers even do it.
I know. My dog was up all night sick. Like last week, I almost took her to bed in the middle of the night. Every hour on the hour, she had the runs and she'd like pant and I'd have to take her out. And I was like, the next day, I was just like a horrid zombie. And I was like, how do parents do this?
I know.
In and day out for like, honestly, the rest of their lives. Because they're going to be stressed about your children no matter what.
I know. I think about having kids and then I think about babies waking up crying in the middle of the night. And I'm like, but what about my sleep? It's going to be like
part of the reason I don't want to have kids.
Honestly.
What?
I'm just going to have to biohack the heck out of it. Like I'm going to have like blue light blocking glasses to wear while breastfeeding at night. And like the night lights in the house will be red. And it's just going to be like,
you can start a whole business based on biohacking babies. There you go. There's your next business idea.
Honestly. Like,
biohacking babies.
Yeah. It's just going to, I don't know what I'm going to do.
Yeah. It won't be biohacking Brittany anymore. It's definitely.
Yeah. Biohacking babies. There you go.
I love it so much. I'm so grateful we finally got to connect because we've been in each other's sphere for a while now.
I know.
To talk to you and connect with you.
Yeah. Yeah. I was going to say, I mean, you can cut this out, but we should get together in person.
Absolutely. Dude, we're in the same city and can we cut that out? Heck yeah.
Yeah.
No, let's do it. Definitely.
I mean, I go downtown a lot, so we could do like coffee in the seawall would be great.
Absolutely. Yeah. We both have puppers. Yay.
Yay. Oh, I love this. Okay, perfect.
Totally. Awesome. Well, thank you everyone for joining us. And thank you, Brittany. It was so lovely to have you on. And if you found value in this content, which I'm sure you did, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you're on YouTube. And if you're on Spotify or Apple, please leave a review and some stars because you can do that pretty easily now. And thanks so much, everyone. We'll see you next week.